Hey, Puppy Trades! It's been a real blessing to be a FinTwit content creator because, man, we see the financial media in the news quite a bit in the mainstream headlines for the past year or so. And today, wow, Tesla was trending. So I'm going to do Elliott wave analysis of Tesla. But a little bit of a surprise here. Wait a minute. What? Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I'm very aware of what the average retail investor has been saying about the need for greater transparency in our markets, stronger regulatory oversight, and tougher penalties for market manipulation and criminal behavior. My administration will support the APE Retail Rebellion and enact aggressive Wall Street reforms. To match action with words, I just invested $24,000 in Gamestop from the fees I earned from suing Monsanto for their knowingly poisoning our soil and causing cancer. I love the idea of making Monsanto support GME, GameStop, and the apes. We need a free and fair market. Let's punish predatory short selling to the moon. By the way, I ride with you, and I'm not leaving. And he left a lot of tags. One of these tags, by the way, he tagged Roaring Kitty. Wow. Wow. He tagged Roaring Kitty, a presidential candidate, a week after Roaring Kitty made his surprise comeback. And just a reminder, quick recap, I have a video from January of this year with a picture of Roaring Kitty talking about how the meme stocks were going to come back, and that a big plot was that they were going to blame the collapse of the financial system on Redditors and NFTs. And then last week, in an idea that's caught on, I introduced to the world the idea that Roaring Kitty was subliminally putting stock tickers in the opening videos of his GIFs. And one of those observations I made, interestingly, was about the cannabis sector. I made a whole video about that you guys all watched. Thank you guys for watching that. I made a whole video about that, and of course, I'm long Tilray and CGC Leaps. But I made a whole video about that, and I said, even in that video, that one of the reasons I didn't wait until the close of that video was because looking at the charts of the pot stocks, it looked like we are going to be hearing major news. And I talked about Roaring Kitty's post letting people know to buy the pot stocks. And I said, who's this guy work for? Who's he letting know? You know, and I've kind of given you a hint who I think it is, that he's a friendly, esoteric dude. And what do you know today? Wow, Robert Kennedy tags him in a post. So Robert Kennedy's also trying to get with John Cena and with Roaring Kitty, trying to get all these retail traders to blame for what's about to happen to GameStop and AMC theaters. And someone down here said we are truly living in a simulation. I mean, this kind of feels like a simulation because what else? What else did I say in a video last week? I told you guys you are going to hear about these things that are talked about in the right wing with this Donald Trump guy in his little club that really is a cult. Right? The Q cult, I think it really is a cult. And I told you guys, you are going to hear about this. You're going to hear about this. And one of their big theories is that Robert Kennedy and the Kennedy family is secretly still in bed with the Trump, the Trump empire, and thus, in their theory, the Trump shadow presidency. So Robert Kennedy and JFK Jr., secretly being alive, and Robert Kennedy Jr. running for president are all part of this Q theory. And I told you that there was a connection between GameStop and AMC and the Q theory, which believes that the Kennedy family is secretly in bed with Donald Trump. And that we are going to find this out in conjunction with what they call the Great Awakening, and what I talked about with AMC theaters, particularly being footage of military tribunals and footage of the fact that, as everyone can clearly see, that Joe Biden is wearing a mask in this video because he had a military tribunal, and this is written in executive orders. And in November of 2023, documents were presented to Judge Cannon in Donald Trump's classified documents case that said he still had Q clearance with the Department of Energy in the summer of 2023. Well, how would he have Q clearance? Because he can only have that if the next president, Joe Biden, gives it to him. And Joe Biden also signed off on 3 of Donald Trump's executive orders, including the one that he wrote right before he was inaugurated. That was huge. That I'm sure was a very pro-Biden executive order about blocking people's properties if they had engaged in election interference and cyber crimes. So he's wearing a mask in this video, and I talked about, all this coming out as part of a rally with what? AMC theaters and GameStop. And then the next week, between that, I said that the Roaring Kitty guy who got tagged was letting people know to buy the pot stocks, and then the next day, quote-unquote, President Biden, a formally rescheduled marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. At least that's what he said. The very next day, and I said, wow, I think that might give a hint as to who Roaring Kitty might work for, because it was lowered on a federal level from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. And I said, figuring out who this guy really is and why his ear looks so funny in this picture, and why the House was voting on Guantanamo Bay proceedings being broadcasted, and why Joe Biden's neck, when he touches it, it looks really normal, but then he touches it and a large indentation stays for a really long time because he's wearing a mask, which this picture clearly proves because he had a military tribunal in Guantanamo Bay. And I said that this was all going to come out as part of a rally in this, silly little Q-spiracy that is in the right wing of this massive group of people, Donald Trump supporters, by the way, millions of people who, support the former quote-unquote president. They already know about this. And they believe that the Great Awakening is when we all find out about it. So a video a week ago I posted that this was all going to come together in conjunction with a rally with GameStop and AMC. And then what do you know? What this guy say? We're in a simulation? That's how I feel. Robert Kennedy tagging Roaring Kitty, tagging AMC and GameStop, and saying, let's all ape together. We're the ones who control the price of GameStop and AMC. Unbelievable. I'll tell you where I think this is going. We're going to find out Robert Kennedy Jr. is still alive. Yep, that's spoiler alert. That's where we're going. We're gonna find out he's secretly he faked his death, and that he's actually part of the military. Oh no! GameStop, man. So I want to give the presidential candidate Robert Kennedy Jr. I want to serve my country right now. I'm going to serve my country. I'm going to give him technical analysis of GameStop. You know, I already told the president of Argentina it was alt season. The president of El Salvador, the president of Argentina, he probably already knows because you know he's best friends with Elon Musk. I told the president of El Salvador it was alt season. Robert Kennedy, it's my privilege to tell you my Elliott wave count of GameStop. Large wave 1, wave A. Large wave 2, wave B. And then from this low, a wave 1 and a wave 2. The time fibs for the monthly are found by starting with the beginning of wave 1, connecting it with the top of the wave 1, wave A candle. This gives a 5 time fib. It looks like that's where we got this big reversal. So I think from this low, this is a wave 1 and a wave 2. We didn't break this low. That is way too wide of an invalidation. For GameStop's very high beta, I still think 9.95 is pretty wide of an invalidation. But I do want to define the risk, you know, because Robert Kennedy Jr., right, he says he's an ape. He says, I'm ride or die. So I'm going to tell Mr. Robert Kennedy Jr. what I think is going to happen if he's a ride or die. I think that this low of 9.95 is going to hold. And I think that AMC and GameStop, I'm holding AMC. I actually averaged up when it dipped last Friday. I think GameStop is going to hold above 9.95. That's a really wide invalidation, but Robert Kennedy Jr., he's an 8. And I think it's going to hold. I think it's going to turn around and enter a wave 3. In Elliott wave theory, the minimum wave 3 target is the length of wave 1 placed at the wave 2 low. But assuming that GameStop does enter a wave 3 and goes and breaks this high, that's how it's going to prove it. Because it's probably at the 78.6% retracement right now. Just real quick. It looks like it's right at that 78.6% retracement. Bing. Yeah. So it looks like this is a wave 1 and a wave 2. I'm looking for a wave 3 to begin. But the bigger target is that if this low of 9.95 holds and this high of 64.83 goes, that's going to open up a large wave 3, which is followed by a shallow wave 4 correction and a wave 5 higher. If wave 4 retests the wave 1 high and wave 5 is at least the length of wave 1 placed at the wave 4 low, GameStop in the big picture can go all the way up to, yes, 120. And in the big picture, that would take it above this high. That would take it above this high. And that would open up, yes, that would just be wave 3. There would be a shallow wave 4 correction. And a wave 5 higher. So Robert Kennedy Jr., you know, he can make a good amount of money being an ape. You know, I think he's going to flip this 24 grand. And I'm holding AMC. So I'm proud to serve you if you are elected president. And I hope to get some type of Pulitzer Prize award for letting you know that GameStop can go all the way up to the 120s, the mid 100 level in the long term. So that's GameStop. I want to talk about Tesla. Tesla was trending. I didn't see any news, though. That was interesting. I've talked about Tesla a bit. I'm going to deep dive. Oh, wow. Did y'all see that? Spooky. Whoa. Anyway, I guess Tesla really is running with the devil. I think this is a large wave one, subdivided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves, and this is an ABC correction. I own Tesla and I own Tesla. I entered that position right here. I believe from this low, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves impulse, and this is an A, B, C correction. So what these fibs over here are measuring is the ABC correction. The length of wave A places the wave B high to the 100, 127.2, and 161.8% extension. So that was the zone I was looking for Tesla to end. It held above 138.30. And so far, I believe this is a wave one and this is a wave two. Tesla's within a wave 3 up into 334 before a shallow wave 4 and a wave 5 higher. So I'm interested. I already own Tesla and Tesla. I'm interested in TSLP, and I'm interested also in CRSH because I believe, and I'm going to do a little bit of back testing and experimenting here. I believe that Tesla is the first stock now where it is possible to sell a strangle on it through ETFs. I believe that by combining CRSH and TSLP or TSLY or both for a more dividends per month, or at least a bigger interval, that there's a way to essentially sell a strangle on Tesla through ETFs because TSLP and TSLY are running out of the money synthetic covered call positions. They're buying a call that expires in a few months, and they're selling a put that is a European style, so it doesn't get assigned. That gives them a delta of 100, and then with that delta of 100, they sell a short-term expiring out-of-the-money call, 5 to 10% out of the money, sometimes 15% for high beta, and that expires in about 2 weeks. So that's where those dividends comes from. CRSH is doing what they call a synthetic covered put. Okay, so it's basically the opposite of that. They are selling an at-the-money call. I believe it's European style, and they're buying a put, and so that gives them a delta of negative 100. Then they sell a short-term put in 2 weeks, expiring in 2 weeks, that's out of the money, collecting that high put premium. And then what they also do to hedge is they buy an out-of-the-money call that expires in a little bit. So I think that's a few strategies going on there. I think it's a call credit spread because they're selling a call and then they're buying an out of the money call. They're selling an at the money call and they're buying an out of the money call. That would be the call credit spread leg. And then for the put, I believe the put part is a put debit spread. They're buying a put and then they're selling a short term put against that's out of the money. But what the strategy claims to do is that it's an out-of-the-money synthetic covered put strategy. So I believe, essentially, that I can pair an ETF like TSLP or TSLY, but I think I'm going to use TSLP because I already own TSLY and Tesla in a pre-existing position. I'm considering backtesting TSLP and CRSH together. And I believe what that's essentially going to do is be selling a strangle on Tesla that's going to collect essentially option premium from Tesla, whether it goes up or down. And I'm not going to have any assignment risk because I'm doing it through ETFs, and then the ETFs are just going to adjust their options. So potentially, that's my homework assignment. There could be a low variance portfolio. I already own a position that's long Tesla and Tesla. my homework assignment, my quant homework assignment, is going to be if I can pair TSLP with CRSH. And if there's some low variance ratio, even if it's just 50-50, where I'm going to be collecting large premium from Tesla, whether it's going up or down. It could be a very interesting bucket. Does that bucket already kind of exist? Yes, it does. It does exist. There's a few ways to do it with the S&P 500 now. I Spy, and that sells zero DTE covered calls on the S&P 500, and JEPY sells zero DTE puts on the S&P 500. So that's one way that a zero DTE strangle can be sold on the S&P 500. The other way is by changing I Spy with XDTE. That's a newer ETF. I'll make a video about that. Anyway, back to Tesla, back to reality. I do think, and I'm gonna keep holding Tesla, a 138.80, too wide of an invalidation right now. That was the invalidation from the post. Tesla's gone up quite a bit. It's up 6.66% today. So I'm gonna do a little bit of voodoo, and I'm gonna spoil you guys a little bit. We're gonna look at this short-term count. Yeah, I did a short-term count. You know, no biggie. 187.56 was that wave A high. Tesla didn't get down to the 100% extension. I had wave C labeled though, and I said that I wasn't gonna wait for it because Tesla could truncate right here. I do believe it did. So that 167.75, that's kind of just, pick the low. I do think that wave 2 ended there, so not a horrible invalidation. I'm going to keep holding Tesla in Tesla. I'm just so interested in, is there a way to blend CRSH with TSLP for me in a new position so that I can always be getting premium from Tesla essentially by selling a strangle without assignment risk through ETFs so that I'm collecting premium whether Tesla's going up or down, and the options positions are being adjusted by the fund managers. Could be something crazy, but really it's not crazy. It exists with JEPY and I Spy right now, and I own both of those. Anyway, this high is 198.87. This low is 138.80. So 161.75. I think that is for this short-term daily count. I'm going to say this is the daily invalidation. And this was the tight invalidation for the setup. It held 150. I think it's the wide invalidation right now, 151. So yes, from this low, I think this is wave 1. This is an ABC wave 2. So this daily count, I believe this is a wave 1. This is an ABC wave 2 that ended at the 50% retracement. It held above the invalidation of 150. And I believe it's entered a wave 3 from this low. The length of wave 1 places the wave 2 low, gives Tesla a wave 3 target of 227. That's a minimum wave 3 target. One way to find another one is taking the 161.8% extension, and that gives about 235. Yet another way, which I believe will align, is by taking these Fibonacci extensions, the length of wave 1, place at the wave 2 low, right there again, a wave 3 target zone, a little wider. I think this is the ideal target zone. So that's a little, I'll make these numbers a little bigger. But yeah, I'm looking for That to be a wave 1 from this low. This wave 2 to hold. I think 161.75 will hold. That tighter wave 2 low, I also think will hold, of 167.75. I'm going to hold Tesla. I'm going to hold Tesla. I think it's begun a wave 3, not only on the weekly count, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, not only on the monthly count, which I'll use the weekly time frame, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. I also think on the daily count, Tesla's begun wave 1, wave 2, wave 3.